I'm Arthur Darvill. I play Mel in Captcha. I can't remember how I got involved in it. I think Piers Wenger got in touch with me and said, do you want to be in this thing? Me and Piers worked on Doctor Who together. I read it and liked it and couldn't quite picture it in my head, and that was really exciting. It was a really quick process between finding out about it and doing it. And I met Ed and we had a coffee, and then just both went, yeah, let's do it. Which is, I think is quite an exciting way of doing it, because neither of us quite knew how each other would work. And it happens so often in what we do, but you kind of have to make that leap of faith. And this time it worked out really well, thank goodness, because sometimes it doesn't. The first thing that me and Amy had to do was have a picture of each other kissing, which I think was maybe a ploy by Ed just to get us to kiss on our first meeting. So he had a hilarious story, but the picture didn't even make it into the film, so I don't even think it was a real camera. It was a bit of a mad, bonkers process to making this. Not only did we film in this tiny, tiny green studio that was about that big, the whole thing of not quite knowing what everything was going to look like or what was in, we had to really work out what was in each room and where we were, because we had little tiny bits of set, and then Ed created all this world around us, and the scale of it's so massive, but actually we filmed in the smallest room I think anyone's ever made a film in. Because there wasn't the space, because it was just actors talking to each other in a room with nothing else around, we really had to rely on each other and the script. It was why we spent a lot of time kind of refining the script, I think, during the shooting. There were lots of kind of technical things that we just had no idea what was going on, and moments where Ed would go, yeah, this point, this thing's going to go into your neck, and I'll sort that out, it'll be fine. And we go, all right, no worries. So it's quite amazing when I saw the little crab coming out of my neck, a little love crab in the final thing. It was a really satisfying moment. It's always that weird thing of having to play, being in love with someone, having met them that day. It's something you have to just jump into. But I find that such a nerve-wracking thing. With that stuff, it's so weird because you have to obviously be really into it, but so much of it's technical about, which side you're going to put your face, and, but luckily Amy's really nice and lovely, and I'm sure she was feeling the same way. It's a much bigger scale than what I thought it would be. This kind of futuristic past world. The style of it's so interesting because you get these kind of very two-dimensional images composited into a three-dimensional image, and it plays with your mind in such a wonderful way, and it reminds me of this kind of the early days of special effects, where you have things like Star Wars, where the original effects are so much better than any of the effects that they put on afterwards, and it has that kind of tangible reality to it, which is great. So I have this problem, normally it just happens like on the bus or in a car. When I was a kid, my parents used to drive me around to send me to sleep, and now I have a real problem with falling asleep. I always fall asleep on sets. I was absolutely exhausted. I think I was doing a play and doing this during the day, so I was knackered, and then I was in a room with a bed, so between shooting things I'd just go to sleep. I was meant to be asleep anyway, so I just thought I'd bring some added professionalism to an otherwise shoddy production. I fell asleep my first day of shooting on Doctor Who. I was so excited I couldn't sleep the night before, and then I got there and had too much coffee, and then crashed in the afternoon, just fell asleep in my chair, much to everyone's hilarity. But it seems to be a running theme in my career. He's a scientist. Well, he's he's a scientist. He knows government secrets, but he's not that interested in it. He does his job, and he's happy. He's got a little apartment that, he's got a little life. He doesn't really expect much to happen to him. And then suddenly a love crab gets put in his brain and all of his secrets get stolen from him. So it's one of those stories where you kind of go, oh, it's terrible that happened to that guy, because he's a nice guy. That is the defining moment in his life. As long as I'm interested to see what happens to him after. And there's the bit when they're on the train at the end, and you're like, this has changed him, and it might be for the better, having been through so much bad, horrible stuff to deal with. Maybe he'll come out of it a more exciting, better, more worldly person, who knows. We had the glasses discussions. I think as a glasses wearing man, there's some kind of safety when you put your glasses on. You feel like you're slightly detached from the world. When he had the implant in, he could take his glasses off. You know, he was seeing her with this thing in his head. And then as soon as it got taken out, he puts his glasses back on and he actually sees things for what they really are. It was really interesting working with a director who's such a visual thinker. We had to just throw our trust in him. And I thought originally when I got into it that he would not have a clue how to talk to actors, because it's all about kind of what it looks like. But actually we worked really well and got on really well. I think he's listening to this conversation, so he'll be really embarrassed to hear that. But yeah, it was a process unlike any other process that I have ever been through, and he made it quite easy to trust him, which is quite a useful thing as a director. Someone has to be trusted. And he's devilishly handsome. I'd say this was more of a drama that uses kind of a few sci-fi nuggets to tell a story. I think it's a really interesting look at trust and what it is to be in love with someone, and we've all thought we were in love with people when we weren't, and this is like a manufactured version of that. So it throws up lots of questions and about love. I just quite like the fact that I got to wear a hat. I rarely get to wear hats in things, probably because I've got such great hair, but it was really nice to wear a kind of 1940s hat and a trench coat, and to look like a bit of a Burke, and then to, you know, get my guns out and show the world what a man I am. If only that were true.